Hello, hello, everybody. How's everyone doing today?
Hey guys, what's
Hey,
up?
thanks for having us.
Hey, it's no problem. We still got a couple more people coming in. I have to fix something there. I had
Yeah, we're all hearing
YouTube
that.
going as well, so I kept hearing this weird this weird echo going on. It was really crazy, so it was kind of throwing me off. Yep. Well, welcome to Take a Break with Luke and Dutton.
Yo,
Taking a break today, so we've got some special guests. We've got Mike Dean and Tim Radecki. Am I saying that
Hey,
name
what's up?
right?
Yeah, that's as good as I ever do.
Sweet. I like that. That's great. So so we're gonna have a good time tonight. Hang out a little bit. You've got what do you tell us just a little bit about yourselves? So and kind of why you're here.
Hell yeah. So Mike and I are co-writers and co-creators of a comic called Superbud. We have 3 issues out right now on Kickstarter, so you can back our project and get the 2 back issues plus our 3rd issue, which just came out. This is kind of the launch for it through Kickstarter. So with history, we've been writing partners for a while now. We originally started writing screenplays and things for TV, and lifelong comics fans. So it made sense to jump into comics and try something out in the comics field. So we came up with the idea back in 2012, and it was a lengthy project. We kind of jumped in without really knowing anything about comics and just kind of tried to figure it out as we went. We had a successful Kickstarter in 2014 for our issue 2, and now the long awaited return with issue 3.
Sweet. So what was the what would you say was the kind of the big hold up for issue one from issue two to issue three?
Yeah, I think for us, we really didn't quite understand the industry or like the landscape of indie comics at all. We jumped in trying to raise a little bit of money. We self-funded that first issue, and it took us like a whole year to do it. So we were doing 5 pages at a time,
Yeah.
just slowly getting there, like the grind, like we all do. And then we did a Kickstarter for issue 2 to raise the money for issue 2. So we actually took a whole year to create that once we got the money in. And then from there, we really didn't quite understand how it works the way we understand it now. So at the time, I think we thought we were just going to pitch it to Image Comics or a company like that, and they would take over the book and they would do all the funding for us, and we would just be writers on it. But it's not really how that works. They don't have an interest in doing that for us.
Yeah.
Um,
As far as I know, Image doesn't even take on like the funding. Like you still pay
yeah,
for everything. They pretty much
Oh yeah,
they just ship it for you.
yeah, yeah.
yeah. All they do is cover the printing, and that's only up front. You're on the hook if it doesn't sell, and then you recoup after they recoup.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we were out
Um.
there at cons just trying to sell it, like hustling like everybody else, like one book at a time, and kind of figuring out like what's the business strategy for this? How do we move forward with this project? So we took about a year off there, just kind of figuring out what to do. We went back into writing for television. We were cranking out some pilots and kicking around some other ideas, and ultimately we realized that to get anything out of Superbud, we had to like get back into it and just kind of realign the business strategy a bit, but get back into it. Basically, if we could get to a trade back was our goal. The sales would be better. It's easier to sell a 1 5 issue trade back versus making your table rates at 1 or 2 issues at the time.
Oh,
So for it to be like financially
isn't that the
viable.
truth, right? Like, here's what I learned. Like when you first start out with all of that, like going to cons and all that good stuff, and you got one book, you feel like such a small fish in a
Yeah,
huge pond, don't you? Because like, what do you got on your table? But you got one book. You did one book,
exactly.
Right.
and you think like, oh, I'm going to this con. I've got one book. I need to have like 100 or 200 copies, and like you sell like 20,
Yeah,
and it's
And
dejecting.
even if
And
you sell 100, it's still not enough because you only have that one book.
right?
It's like
Yeah.
there's only so much they can spend at your table. You know.
Exactly, yeah. But the more you get, like I think I'm drawing issue 9 now. Issue
that's
9
awesome.
of one series. So you start to get a little more in there, but it's still hard to make that table rate back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a because there's so much stuff for people to buy. and there's, some people like they only want to do a little bit at a time. So even if like I think even at a good con, I've sold out at a con before, but I mean, that's, I think that only equates to about 150 books. It was a 3-day
Right.
weekend,
Well,
and
on top of that, if you're doing if this is not your only job, you might be taking off from that other job to go for a 3 or 4 day weekend to Baltimore, or someplace, and then you have to kind of like decide what's really worth it, how much exposure are you really getting out of this con. New York Comic Con is obviously one of the big ones. That one helps a lot when we go to that, but even there, you're a small fish in an enormous pond.
and I think a lot of times I don't know about you, but I found that my best success has always been at the smaller conventions, where it's kind
Yeah.
of like mostly toys. There's not really a lot of comics. I'm like the only comic guy there, one of like 2 or 3 comic guys there, because then I don't have as much, And when no one is that, especially when nobody famous is there. Oh man, if somebody famous is there, forget it. I'm not
Yes.
making any money because they're buying all of their stuff. They're buying, and they got to pay for their stuff. And backstage right now we've got Sam. Sam is normally he says God's black friend, but he is here tonight. So Sam, thanks
Dang, Sam looking fresh with the cut.
yeah, look at
thank you.
that.
Thank you. Yes, I bring it from back.
Nice.
Look at that. Look at that.
What's up, Ted? What's up, Mike?
Hey, Sam, what's up?
Good
How
to
are
see
you?
Sam?
Pretty good. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty great, actually.
Awesome.
We don't have Todd, but I think we can play the intro.
In the great hall of the Justice League, there are assembled the world's 4 greatest heroes, created from the cosmic legends of the universe. Their mission, to fight injustice, to right that which is wrong, and to serve all mankind.
That demonetizes us every time I play that, right? So it's like, yeah. But
Well
it's
worth it.
worth it. It is
Yeah,
worth
I
it.
mean, the real question is, are we even monetized?
No, we are
Yeah,
so
see-
far from being monetized.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm
was like, I
this-
thought we were like stupid far from it.
yeah, I
I
pretty
only
much
say stupid for it because you know what? Everyone watching right now, you should like, subscribe, leave a comment, maybe
Yes.
PayPal me.
PayPal you, yeah, directly. Dutton's like my direct PayPal is at Dutton. Yeah, so yeah, no. Yeah, you should definitely like and subscribe for this and check it out. We do this every Tuesday. Always jump into the comments and have some fun. It's we talk a lot about comics, and as one of our sponsors says, he usually, we always like to hear from our sponsor, and
Comics are awesome.
so yeah, comics are awesome. Believe Keanu. So definitely,
I believe Keanu.
we love comics. So
Ted wouldn't steer you wrong.
yeah, yeah, he would not. No, not at all.
He is most excellent in
that. It was most excellent. All right, so anyway, we digress. So kind of the format of this show is we just do whatever we want, and then that happens. So all right, so
That's
we've got yeah. So the conventions, it gets kind of crazy when you don't have a lot, and then you go to those bigger ones. But I always find that I wind up making more money when there's not a celebrity there. But
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
know. Yeah, I don't know how you guys feel about that or not. But
No, that's always the same experience. Especially, it's like always like a wrestler from the '80s or somebody from the TV show from the '90s. Power
William
Ranger.
Shatner. He's the one who always gets us.
yeah, or
William
any,
I
or
feel
any
like Mike
voice
has
actor
a
from an anime.
slight feud. Like he's secretly under his breath, like William Shatner.
Dude, I'm not even gonna lie. I love William
I call him
Shatner.
Kirk now, too. I'm just like,
I would-
Kirk.
I would spend all the money I made at my table to go.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Would you please recite song lyrics to me? Yeah, that kind of guy. Anyway, so Mike, tell us about yourself. Where do you come from? Kind of what got you into this whole thing?
Well, I'm from Long Island originally. I met Tim in film school, and we very quickly connected over comics and a lot of like potty humor. And actually, I remember my roommate at the time was like, "Hey, we should bring Tim with us next time we go to get comics. He says he'd be game." And I was like, all right, but we're stopping for ice cream. And
I love that qualifier.
really, is
That's
the thing.
you're gonna make me meet a new person. That's okay as long as I get some ice cream. Yeah,
I was
that
like,
works
as
for
long
me.
as he's
I like that.
in, because that's my caveat. And then we very quickly bonded, and we were writing sketches together, within like a month or two. And then shortly after graduating college, we were trying to keep the writing partnership going, but he lived in Philly, I lived in Long Island. So about a year in, I was just like, you know what, Philly is way less expensive. If you're up for it, why don't I move there? And if we're roommates, we can just write all the time. So we did that for a while, and that was kind of where Superbud got its legs. At the time, I was doing a lot of camera work for conventions and for Stanley's YouTube channel. And, we'd go around and we'd interview all these artists and creators. And the number one thing everyone said was just like, no one's ever going to ask you to make a comic book. You just have to make it. Like, that's the number one rule. And I came back and I said to Tim, I was like, hey, I think we could write a comic. Like, I think we should write a comic. And it took a while. It took a lot of learning experiences. But, Superbud was our first. And then we kind of like off and away after that.
Making a comic is a lot harder than what people realize.
Yeah.
I think you set out like, I'm gonna make a comic book, and then you're like, oh crap, that's. Am I actually going to make this comic book? I think at one point you kind of have that question. Am I actually going to make it? So you guys have a book. Do you want to share your screen? Like you want to, if you've got that up, or are you able to do that? Or do you want to send me your link real quick and I will pop it up. Let's talk about your campaign a little bit.
Dean looks like he's got something going on.
It's nice if you're sharing it. Yeah, it
definitely
works out if you share it better. Because then you know where you want to go and what you want to talk about. Did you hit share?
I have the link to their Kickstarter. I can throw that in there.
Oh, actually, that's probably the best. You can show the Kickstarter, and the first 45 seconds is a recap of the first two issues.
Sweet. The first 45 seconds?
And I'll put it in the
play. You'll know when it's done. When you see our faces, you know to cut.
We've already got enough
When I
of us.
see your face. You guys are doing really good. 58 backers. You're double your goal so far.
Yeah.
So you are killing it.
That was a little bit of a surprise for us as well. First Kickstarter, we didn't really hit our goal until I think like the second to last day.
Yeah, so big turnaround this time. We hit our goal in 24 hours, which was awesome. And now it's just like building and trying to gain momentum and get things going here and see if we can get to some stretch goals, have some fun stuff planned for everybody.
All right, well, let's play this video, and then we can talk about it a little bit more, okay?
Previously on Superbud. Danny, a heartbroken college dropout, decides to smoke his troubles away one weekend. Little does he know, the weed he buys is actually an experimental strain of marijuana that was smuggled out of a lab by a small-time drug dealer who has been selling it to everyone in Emerald Oaks, giving them all superpowers. Will Danny and his friends become the heroes their town needs, or will it be destroyed by the effects of Superbud?
Hey, where my
Okay, so if that was even remotely a possibility, I know some people that would non-stop be smoking weed like all day long. Like, that's all they would get done. Historical Fencing Guild is here. He says, hi all, listening while I work. So
Awesome.
yeah, so that's pretty awesome. Thanks, Nick, for showing up tonight. We've had Nefarious in the chats this evening. Kind of a little light. Oh, do we got? Yeah, I've got everybody in.
I think this is an interesting place to take weed humor type of as a genre, because I feel like Seth Rogen became popular and then we got a bunch of that, but just watching his stuff over and over again, it kind of becomes stale. But this is sort of like fresh and new, and it mixes the superhero thing into it, and so
I have an unpopular opinion.
All across town, just sort of like blazing it up,
Yeah.
and then being like, "Yo, I can see through walls," or like, "Yo, I can fly," or something.
I totally have an unpopular opinion.
Oh,
I
You
don't
don't
think
smoke.
Seth Rogen is funny.
Oh no, that's kind of popular. That's
Oh,
kind of
I-
common.
I'm not the only one that feels that way then?
I use the word popular. Actually, he has his times, you know.
No, I love those things back in the day, but I can't say there's been one recently that I love. Though I do like some of his more serious stuff that's not straight comedy,
You
or
know
stuff
what?
he's
I'll
not
give
writing
him
or acting
credit.
in now.
He brought Preacher to TV, so
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'll give him
And
credit to that.
He's also the executive producer
I was
of
disappointed with
Invincible,
that.
so if we all like that.
Uh,
That's kind of him.
executive producer of what?
Invincible,
Yeah.
animated series on Amazon.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that was
I
pretty good.
appreciate that. I actually really liked Future Man that he
Yeah,
was
that's what I was
also an
gonna bring up.
executive producer
Yeah.
on.
Ooh, I'm not familiar with that.
he didn't
Yeah.
write that one, but he
Hulu
produced
series.
that. That's
But
awesome.
enough
Yeah.
about that, man. More about Mike and Tim and Superbud, dude.
Yeah, and okay, so how much research went into writing this?
Bongs and Bongsworth.
So
I think it's
the-
like lifetime worth of research, both
Yeah.
the cannabis side of it, and then I mean, it's all like an homage to like the comics and cartoons that we loved growing up. So
So
a little bit of classic Peter Parker, but instead of being like a really smart guy, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Well,
We always,
I love the art.
We always are told, write what you know.
Yeah, that's very important. I do love the art. I like the it kind of fits the theme and the feel. You've got a well laid out. I would like to see more interior pages on your.
Oh, keep going.
On your. Oh, there we go. Okay, here's
Yep.
some artwork. Artwork is always my favorite. Like,
Oh yeah.
just a little hint. Most people don't care about your creative team.
that's
They
why
don't-
it's
Yeah.
typically on like the bottom of most
Yeah,
Kickstarter
that's
pages.
why. That's why. Yeah, that's why. Well, that on like
Item.
90% of what you see, they'll just stick them down the bottom. Nobody cares.
They
You-
decide
you-
to care after they see the art. Because if once they see the
Yeah.
art, it makes them read a page, and after they read a few pages and they like it, then they're like,
Well,
"Who's
who did
responsible
this?
for this
Yeah.
thing I like?"
Yeah, that's
Who
a good
wound
point.
I
up doing
really
this?
do
You
like
like
this
Mike?
art.
Oh, okay. I think I like these Tim and Mike
I
guys.
do. I really do like who's the artist here.
Tim Laddie.
Okay, so
He
not
does stuff for-
neither one of you guys. Are you guys just
No.
writers?
Yeah, we both just write.
Gosh, you're just writers.
Yeah.
Hey,
I would
I'm
know if
teasing.
I
I'm
could.
messing with you. I'm a
Hey.
writer too. I'm a writer
One
too.
of those.
Writers Unite.
I'm a writer too.
Yeah,
So I have a slight question. Is there a different, like this is how you know that I partake and Luke really doesn't. Is there a different power set between sativas and indicas?
We
So
haven't
in
gotten
this
that
scenario-
far into it, but
Go ahead.
yeah.
Okay.
So in this one, so there, this company, it's like nefarious corporation, the pharmaceutical companies trying to chemically enhance marijuana for like the new mass market, and they're pushing this legalization and medical marijuana and all that so they can make money. Basically, pharmaceutical companies losing out to the natural stuff, so they're trying to enhance it, and they haven't gotten the chemical formula right until one doctor cracks it. And she's afraid of this evil corporation getting their hands on it, so she sneaks it out of the lab. The pot dealer gets his hands on it, and he sells it to the town, not realizing what it was. He just thinks it's really good stuff. Doesn't realize he's giving everybody superpowers. So it kind of becomes a thing where it balloons out of proportion, and everybody in the town starts to smoke it and get superpowers.
I'm
There's
guessing
people-
this big green guy here smoked some, and he had a reaction, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
people that you don't expect to happen. Some people that are your classic stoners. Some people that you'd be surprised by. So that right there is our character Mikey. He's the younger brother who accidentally eats a batch of brownies, weed brownies. So the 9-year-old brother turns into this giant monster that they have to try to control here. So that's a bulk of issue 3. That's what this one's all
So
about.
so this is there's a lot of humor in this. I can tell. Man, this looks great.
Thank you for saying.
Yeah, this looks really good. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna encourage everybody. We're gonna throw this link up in the chat here in the comments. So you guys go check this out. They got 15 days left. We're gonna kind of talk about some other things before we leave. We're gonna come back. We're gonna look at your perks, okay, or your pledge levels, so that people can look and see what we're gonna. So we'll bookend it with this as well, okay?
Awesome.
So all right. So this week, who got canceled this week? Anybody get canceled this week that we don't know about?
I don't think someone got canceled, but I do know Rob Liefeld and what is it? Big Apple City Comic Con.
Apple, yeah.
They got into it this week.
I did see that.
They did, which was crazy. So I guess he had to cancel, right?
Yep.
For some reason. Does anyone know why he had to cancel?
I think he canceled because of like concerns of COVID spikes happening in New York City.
Okay.
I guess, yeah.
I think that was the reason.
Well, I know, like he's in California, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. New York can't really seem to get their act together with that whole COVID thing.
Yeah, I mean, it hit them first and the worst, sort of. So,
but I think
they didn't cancel. He's canceling, or they were canceling.
He canceled.
No,
he said he
canceled,
make it,
but they didn't find out apparently until he posted about it on like Twitter and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
So, and then they were like, well, we never really got a confirmation that you weren't going to be here or something like that.
We tried calling you and no one answered. We tried calling your agent.
And he's like, my representative told you that we weren't going to be there. And so...
Okay, so
finger pointing.
I in my heart, I want to believe Rob Liefeld because he made Deadpool. And if I'm going to believe Rob Liefeld's like point of view, or then it seems like he told them he wasn't coming, but they wanted to continue selling tickets with his face and name on them.
That's what it sounds like to me. Yeah, because here's the deal: if you don't know what happened, he canceled, but they didn't take him off of the roster for the convention, and so he was like, "Look, I'm not going to be there. Why you still got me up there?"
I think until like the day before they mentioned, which by then you already have a lot of pre-sold tickets.
Yeah, and how many people bought tickets thinking they were going to go see Rob, and Rob's gone, right? He's not even there. So, there could be an ethics thing there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand why the fans would be pissed, right? If they're expecting to get their Deadpool signed or something like that, and people running the con, that's got to be stressful. But I think it's all like, for us right now, is trying to discern who is more accurate in their representation of when that notice was given and all that.
Right.
You know what?
I said I wanted to believe Rob because he made Deadpool.
But see, I think
believing him.
I think the more interesting thing is, all right, so last year there wasn't really any cons because of COVID, but now you have like the Delta variant.
They've moved on from the Delta variant, right?
Yeah. Oh my God,
I'll be honest. When I first heard Delta variant, I just thought it was like some cool cover that I needed to get to collect. I was like, "Who's Delta? Delta did some variant everybody's talking about. All right, I got to find this thing, right?" Now I think we're onto something that's like it starts with an F. I think it's like Ferguson or something. I don't know what it is. It's some other variant, and they're like, I think what it was is like it's the Delta variant, and no one's like that's not very. We're not worried about that. And so they're like, okay, well, this is the one to be concerned about. Like, it's whatever.
They just changed the name because the first one wasn't scary enough?
I think that's what it is. That's my theory.
I do.
They're not running home.
Here's the thing that interests me, though.
The Thanos variant. There you go.
Is with variants coming into play, and I know, like, LA is going back to, like, masking inside, and so is Vegas. And a few other cities are talking about possibly like kind of doing mandatory mask, or even some rumors of like lockdowns again, of creators going, I was scheduled here, but this is now the thing happening in the city. I'm not going to do it. So I find it very, like, just as the topic of, like, not even counting Rob Liefeld in this Comic Con, just any comic artist or writer in any con of any city, of if, like, certain, because the whole lockdown thing, some cities were more strict, some were more lax. If it goes back to going back more strict, well,
so
comic
do you think it's
artists
acceptable?
go, nah, I'm good. not going to that one, although I was
Do you
booked.
think that's acceptable if someone has a contract and the con is still going for them to cancel because of fears of COVID? I mean, people
I
have
don't
the
know, to be
vaccine.
honest.
People can wear their mask. They can wash their hands. There's hand sanitizer.
I think that's a great point, but it's easier for the consumer to cancel and not
Yeah.
affect the con. A creator cancels and it throws off like a lot of revenue streams.
Yeah.
Somebody might have only be going to that con because of that creator.
Yeah.
I think also we're at the point where we're like, we're getting pretty far. We're 18 months into COVID.
Yeah.
I feel like we know there's going to be spikes. We know
Right,
that like
yeah.
we're
Yeah,
not
definitely.
quite out of it. Like we already discussed New York Comic Con and we already agreed we're not going to go because we're kind of anticipating like there might be spikes. It might even get canceled. Who knows? So we're just like, let's
If
just
everybody
hold out.
famous
We'll go
doesn't show up,
stronger
maybe
at
I can sell
2022.
something.
We did consider that too. I talked to some other creators who were like, no, this is the year you're going to capitalize.
Yeah.
There's going to be so many people hungry for it
Yeah.
and so many people that don't show up, you're going to be kind of like selling to a bigger audience than you normally would. So
I get
think
so
Even a
it's
sick of
small
talking
fish
about-
considers
way.
big.
Yeah, I really do get
Right.
tired about talking about this virus,
Yeah.
but I do have one thing. Let's. I really want to get your feel on this and get your prediction. Okay, which is going to have more variants, COVID or Marvel's next X-Men series?
Uh, it's hard
That
to
was-
tell right now.
I'm putting my money on X-Men. But
Yeah.
it depends on
X-Men had, what,
we gotta
26?
give it like a year cap.
Yeah, I think they've already got 26 planned variant covers for the new
Right.
X-Men series.
Well, I think X-Men 1 just came out, and I think it did cap at, like, I think 26.
Oh, did it come out already? Because I
Yeah.
don't know anything. Yeah, because I was
Who's
not.
buying 26 variants of X-Men?
I mean,
I keep hearing that they like make these like 10 variants, 15 variants, 20 something variants to get these like cow of a comic buyers to like, but like I don't know anyone who's buying 26
Yeah, I don't
variants.
either.
I at the most know
yeah.
someone who's maybe like, oh, I'm kind of interested in 2 of those. Right? But like,
It feels like deja vu all over again. This is what happened in the 90s. They
Yeah.
oversaturate
Yeah, like the
the
foil
cover
and-
collectibles,
yeah.
and then people are like, all right, you know what? Nothing's worth money. Nothing's collectible if it's oversaturated.
Yeah, I think there has to be that speculation market,
Yeah.
there I've been a couple of those groups and I just got out of it. Like I know a guy here in Jacksonville that does has a speculation group and he does a comic book, but he's kind of a jerk and a lousy person. So I guess my only reference for people that like run that speculative market stuff are just kind of like sleazy individuals, right? So I'm like, is that what all of them are? It's like I'm not really sure like what they want.
Yes.
I don't know if they wanted money or they wanted something more sexual.
I just don't know. I just don't know. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not very good at the speculative market because if I see something I like, I buy it and then I'll never sell it. So
Right?
it's in a box for me.
I've got this new app on my phone that somebody posted about, and it's called what's this thing called? It's called CLZ Comics.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, and so I put my comics in there, and it'll tell me if they have a known value, it'll tell me what the value of it is or whatever. But it's so I can organize my collection. I can know what I've got, And so
yeah.
Man, that
My
sounds
buddy
kind
had
of great
an
if
app
you're
like that for vinyl.
if you're like back issue hunting.
It is, yeah. It's like, oh, I have all of this series, or I'm missing this in a series, so I can go hunting for it. So yeah, that's pretty good. But the bad part is like anything indie, I've got to manually input.
Yeah.
So and there's a lot of old stuff I have to manually input too.
But otherwise,
when I-
you can like scan the barcode, right? And
everything else you can do that.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
found an old back issue called I think it's called The Butcher, from Mike
yeah.
Barron. A Mike Barron
Cool.
story, and I'm like, oh sweet, I'm gonna see if I can get him to sign that one. So yeah, it's like kind of cool and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so it's pretty good. But yeah. Bad news: we're not going to get an Encino Man reunion.
The reunion we've all been holding our breath for.
Yeah, so I guess they were all scheduled. No, all the hobbits pulled out.
Classic Hobbit move.
Exactly. That's exactly what I said. That was a classic Hobbit move. Okay, yeah. They went on an adventure. You know, it's yeah, crazy
They're jumping
stuff.
on a bed somewhere.
Oh yeah.
What would the idea be? Like, they're growing up. Is it their kids are involved somehow? I feel like that's the bringing 80s, early 90s movie back 30 years later.
Well, I mean, okay. So let's write that movie for a second, okay? You guys wrote movies and stuff. We're all writers here.
I mean, he's a caveman. I feel like his life expectancy only went like 1 year past the movie.
Yeah. And
he liked adapted to.
And he liked Betty Nuggs. But no, here's the thing. It was Betty Nuggs, right? He kept liking the girl Betty Nuggs, right? Mm-hmm. But it turns out that he had a girl that was frozen in the pool. And it ends at the end with with him like, yeah. And so that's what we need to do. We need to see them raise their families. Okay, like Sean Astin finally ends up with like whatever girl, that girl he really liked, that blonde chick, right? Mm-hmm. So he ends up with her, and they have kids that go to school. But since the kids are raised by cavemen, they still act like cavemen.
Yeah.
Right? So they still wheeze the juice and all of that stuff. And Pauly Shore has to be their godfather.
I just assume that the weasel has grown up and he's matured and he's a dentist maybe or a lawyer right now. And then when he's reunited with them, that brings back the weasel persona in him.
Oh, that'd be great. Better yet, what if he's a pastor?
There you go.
That'd be hilarious. Could you imagine? Bob, what's up? So glad to have you here tonight. We are talking with Tim and Mike. They've got a book called Superbud, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a few minutes. We are right now just kind of talking about what's happening in the world of comics. You know why? You know why we do that? Because
comics are awesome.
So that's why we do it. Yeah. So having a pretty good day. Let me see what's going on. What books do you guys read? Like indie. Okay, so let's talk about indie books. What are you guys reading right now that you like, that you're thinking like, this is awesome?
It's in the vein of indie, a little higher tier of indie maybe. But I just read the 3rd volume of Gideon Falls today. I don't know if you guys read that. It's Jeff Lemire.
Yeah,
it's awesome. It came out a couple of years ago. I'm like,
I have volume 1 of that.
Yeah, so I just picked up volume 1 a couple weeks ago, and man, is it awesome! So I've been reading that. What was that?
You made an elevator pitch. What is it about?
Oh yeah, it's hard to explain, and I don't want to give too much away. It's a horror book and it's a thriller. It's about a place called Gideon Falls, and it's these random characters that their story kind of coalesces together, and it gets deeper and trickier, and there's multiple timelines, and it's complex, but a really, really great horror, like gritty horror.
All right, that sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, I wish I had brought up a one that was easier elevator pitch. That's a difficult one.
Bob's been reading Jack Kirby's Machine Man.
Timelines, continuity, they're probably. I guess they're probably playing with the continuities, the idea of like, oh, you think it's this time, but it's actually, look, this guy can drive this timeline.
Yeah, it gets deeper as you go. So that's really awesome.
I love that wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff.
Yeah, really
love it. Bob's reading Jack Kirby's Machine Man, which is pretty cool. That's a pretty good book.
Oh, awesome.
Nice.
I'm gonna like him, love him, hate him, whatever. But I'm a fan of the 90s, and nothing spoke 90s to me like the Cyber Frog Warts and All collection. Oh. This big fat, it's every, I remember grabbing these books back in the 90s, or some of these books back in the 90s, not all of them. Couldn't always find all of them. But it's like it's completely unedited, like not improved at all. It's the exact stuff that went into print, just put into a giant omnibus. And so, I'm having a little bit of nostalgia. I've been doing that lately. I've been going through and finding all of the nostalgic stuff that I can, like old Silverline stuff, old Malibu stuff, old Aero Comic stuff, you know, like all kinds of stuff, like that
Yeah, all
kind of
that
stuff.
stuff that
Yeah.
not really around much, and if somebody's collecting it, like pick
Yeah.
it up in a big omnibus. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of that, and then I've also checked out this book. There's this guy named Brian Rodman that I know, and he's got this book. He's done a seventh one called Memoirs of an Angel, and it's so far I haven't read it all yet, but it's coming along pretty good. It's coming along pretty good. So
Nice.
I'm probably have to go back and get the issues before it because I just picked this one up. I figure if I can grab an issue that's like right now, even if it's out of continuity, like I'm not going back and getting the first one. If I just like pick up like number 7 and I can still get into it and enjoy it, probably it's a good enough series for me to want to get the whole thing for.
Yeah, it's
So
a
I'm
great
kind of looking at
test.
that. So yeah, if I can understand enough what's going on, I'm like, oh, then I should be good. But if I get a book that I can't understand, it's like it's completely clueless and it's like you've got to have all this backstory, then I probably it's probably too much homework for me.
Yeah, no, that's a great lesson for us as writers and creators of comics too to think about too. Like, what is your book 7, your issue 7 read
Yeah.
like? Does it tell a complete story? Does it feel like it's got a beginning, middle, and end? Is it enough to entice an audience and get them to read the next one too? Right? Like, it's not even enough that it tells a complete story. You also want to like give them a hook or give them something to lead them into the next one,
I
even with a
think
question.
that is one reason why I'm actually going back and like rereading a lot of books from like the 80s because
Yeah.
they were able to be somehow both episodic and serial of like every issue beginning, middle, and end, but also that slight hook of like to be continued, and like
Yeah.
some would be like, all right, this is a 3-issue arc, but every issue also ends in its own thing as well, so you
Yeah.
can just kind of jump in.
Yeah, they had a real knack about it, didn't they?
Yeah,
Mrs.
whenever
H
that was
says hi, hello. Thanks for joining us tonight. We are just hanging out, taking a break with Luke and Dutton and the rest of us.
Speaking of, well, here's a question: what counts as indie? It was Valiant back in the '90s. Was that indie?
I mean, back then,
Technically,
yeah.
yes. Yeah, it was
Okay.
technically.
Hey, Matt.
So that's good to know because I
There you
remember
go.
last time we were talking about indie stuff, and I was shamed because I wasn't reading anything indie at the time. But I do have some stuff today. So
Shame.
Yeah, because
my
90s,
comic
that's when
book,
Jim Shooter started Valiant.
yeah.
my comic book collection started in the late '90s when my older brother he gave up comics and handed his collection over to me. And so at the time I inherited them, I read through all of them, but there's some books I haven't read since then, and because of that, they're like new to me because it's been so long. It's been like
Oh yeah.
50 plus years. And so I am rereading through the original Ninjak run, which
Oh,
I
awesome.
Ooh,
Nice.
very cool. Very, very cool.
yes.
Yeah, man.
So I'm
Nice.
going to be reading the OG Ninjak soon and very soon. I'm actually missing issue number 2. I don't know if I misplaced it or if my brother never had it, but I'm looking forward to this. Maybe I might
Remember those.
go to some stores or online and try and track it down. But I have Ninjaks 0 through 8, with the exception of number 2.
Hi, Doris.
Me and
Thanks for
my
joining us tonight.
cousin
So we've
did
got quite a few people. I want to just real
oh.
quick. We got quite a few people in the chat tonight. We've got. I just wanted to say hi to them. So we know we've got Bob going on in there. We've got Doris in there tonight. We've also got
Matt
Matt
C.
C. and we got Mrs. H. And we've got Bob. So I just want to welcome
you know
everybody
what?
that's chatting with us right now.
If anyone wants a really cool adventure comic, Matt has one with Kyrie Wild Tales on Indiegogo.
He does. Yes.
Oh, awesome.
That he does. I need to read that. I keep seeing it.
One of my favorite out of the indie crowdfunding books. Matt is he's humble, but he's a genius.
Nice.
I haven't had any like series that I've jumped into long form lately, but I've been picking up like little trade backs that have like I want something that has an ending because I just can't like keep it all in my head if it's going to be an ongoing thing. So I read a Nancy Drew noir comic with the Hardy Boys that was really good that I picked up at a con. Hill House, Basket Full of Heads. was a great read, really great read. Killer Be Killed, which was a Brubaker one that I think Tim actually bought me as a birthday present.
Nice.
You know, I do one of those like ongoing things, but I break it off into chunks. And so I'm
Yeah.
actually writing the final arc, you know, that final arc. It's kind of the end of one kind of basic chapter for the thing and whatever, but I'll probably wind up writing more of them or having somebody else. I'll probably write them and have somebody else draw them, but
Is that something where you're like, let's see how financially viable it is after it's out, or
well,
what's your decision factor?
It's been pretty financially viable. Like it's
Awesome.
You know, there's enough people that want it that, you know, I think I'll keep putting it out. But I want to do more stuff. So, you know, I've got all these other ideas. I got like lots of ideas, right? You know, it's one of those things I tell people is like, I don't want to be like, you know, that pretentious jerk that like, my stuff is amazing. You know, that guy, you know, because I usually feel like, here's what I think about comic books. Pretty much people can just lie about whether they're a good writer or not. And no one verifies it because they buy the comic, they never read it. You know, it's like, I bought your comic and the art looked good, so you must be an amazing writer. No, the artist was talented. You know, you know, sometimes, you know, it's, you know, so I actually like to read the comics, you know, and so like sometimes they're like, that guy said he was a good writer and he was lying. The lie detector tests determined that was a lie.
Do pretty okay. Not saying I'm the best.
That's how I felt with the Tomorrow War. So I don't know if anyone saw that on Amazon. The action sequences, the shooting, all of that was beautiful, well done. The dialogue was so crappy. I couldn't believe that it was touted as so good.
I don't know that one.
Yeah. Bob
The
says he wishes
Chris
that he still
Pratt
had this Ashcan book that he got at Comic-Con in Montreal. Said the guys were trying to break into the comics, which is really, really hard, by the way, and really like the art style, but I don't remember who it was. What the comics were cool. You know, that'd be
It wasn't
crazy.
us, Bob.
Yeah. That was back in the 90s. Wouldn't it be crazy if those people got famous?
wasn't us.
And you missed out. You
Yeah,
totally
right.
missed out on having that Ashcan. Yeah. So I can say the series is it's doing pretty well. It's doing pretty well.
Good.
But yeah, so
I can see that because you're writing and drawing, right? So like that's
I do some writing and drawing. Yeah. But you know, eventually you know, I want to write and draw other stuff. So like I was saying, I don't want to be like that pretentious guy that's like, you know, I'm the next Stan Lee or something like that. But I do think about the idea that there hasn't been a Stan Lee and a Jack Kirby since Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, right? People that created this big, expansive comic book universe that wrote all of these things. And the reason why is because the big 2 or 3, they're not going to introduce new stuff because they don't need to. They've got their cash cows and they're going to milk those things until they're dead, right? Which will never happen. No one's ever going to be tired of reading Batman, apparently. You know, we always love Batman. We always love Spider-Man and those kind of things. We're always going to be going into those things. So they're not doing that. You're not getting that innovation. The whole reason why all of that happened was because Stan was getting ready to leave comics, you know, and he wrote the Fantastic Four because he wanted to write a comic he wanted, and it just hit, right? And so if something like that is going to come out, it's going to come out of the indie market, right? That's my thought. But the problem is it's so hard for indies because they don't have the same work process that Jack and Stan had.
Infrastructure.
Where you've got you've got publication, you've got distribution, you've got that kind of stuff already there that you can use. But you also had like, I'll write and you draw, and I'll write and then you draw, you know, and like you know, so they're moving the books around faster, they're getting product out quicker. We're doing it all by ourselves. We fund everything by ourselves. We're trying to, you know, and it can take a year to put out an issue when you self-fund this thing, and people are gonna like, even if it's the best universe in the world. It's going to take a long time to build what Jack and Stan built, doing a book a year, or even doing 4 books a year. You got to do it at a faster pace, at a higher level, and it's complicated to do that. And so I'm trying to build an infrastructure to where I can produce books a lot quicker, and have enough money coming in to where I can pay good people to get the work done for me, and try to create all these other worlds. So my focus is trying to turn what I'm working on into a viable income so that I can focus on building more universes, and like writing more stories and stuff that connect into the bigger thing. So that's kind of like my heart. Like that's what I'm trying to do, and it might be why I have gray hair. I don't know.
No, I think that's what everybody's striving for, right? Like, how do you
yeah.
make indie comics in a viable way that you can crank out 4, 5, 6 a year, and make it really viable? That's the game.
You know what? Matt actually poses a really good question.
Well, let me get to that because I've got a lot going on in the chat. Let me go ahead and say hi to everybody, okay? So William Pace is in there, is in the chats. We want to say hi to him. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey,
Hail.
William.
We got through Bob's comments already about that. Jennifer Lauder is in the chat.
Hey,
she
Jen.
says, "Hey, Jen, how's it going tonight?" Bob says, "I was having so much fun. I volunteered at the con." That is awesome.
Yeah, it's
that
great.
you can do that. Cons are so much fun. I hope that we can get back to not having to worry about variants and all that kind of stuff. Mrs. H says, "Which one was it that Kirby drew it first, and then Stan wrote the dialogue?" A lot of them.
Yeah.
Like there were a lot of them. It was like they would basically plot it. Like Stan would plot out a book and say, "Hey, this is what I want to do," and then Kirby would draw it, and then after it was drawn, Stan would go in and put in all the dialogue. That was their basic process, and that became known as the Marvel method. They were genius. In fact, that's where Silver Surfer came from. Jack just decided he wanted to put this little guy in there, looked pretty good or whatever, and they kind of come up with a little bit of backstory for him, and then he became a whole book.
I haven't heard much about it, but I really love the idea or thinking about Jack just throwing things in there to mess with them. Like, all right, let's see what Stan can do with this, and put something cool in there, and like the creative spontaneity that you get out of two people just kind of winging it without knowing what the other person was going to do.
True, and those guys didn't really always get along with each other. You know, they sometimes fought and pretty had pretty bad disagreements. But man, the creative genius between those two guys was just amazing. I hope to find that with someone, in indie comics. But the thing is, we're going to do what we can by ourselves. I was going to make a dirty joke, but I'm not going to do that because I'm a pastor and this is live on TV.
That video is going to come back to haunt you.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not going to do that.
I mean, the dirty jokes, they're for me. I say those just because I'm not a pastor. So, it's a good, it's not my fault.
You just set Dutton up and he'll say the punchline for you.
Yeah. So, Matt C says, what was that, Bob?
I was going to say to the point about sometimes Jack throwing something at Stan that he wasn't expecting. Like, you just get the pages and be like, whoa. It reminds me of the idea of two jazz players playing something. Like this guy on a saxophone, there's another guy on a piano, and the guy on the piano just does something musically that isn't in the sheet music, and the other guy is just like, okay, oh yeah, I'm gonna react to that. And it's beautiful, what ended up happening.
Yeah. So Matt says, can an indie get hot in one city, local grassroots popularity on local shelves, or does it have to be online support every time? That's a great thing to talk about. I think that it can be very popular in a certain region. I do well in our region, like in the Florida area. I do pretty well, and I'm doing better. I'm the more I get to go to these smaller shows, the more that grows. The more I get a chance to get into these comic shops, build relationships with these people and these shop owners and the fans that are there, it grows. Like there's one shop in Orlando that I go to that every time I'm there, I do a lot of sketch covers. And there are people that look forward to me coming in so that they can get a sketch cover and get a new sketch or something. They when they find out I'm coming, they actually ask the shop, hey, can you have Luke do one of these for me or whatever? And so I'll have a list when I get there of things I need to do. And I'm like, that's just so fulfilling as an artist, as a creator. So I think that you can do grassroots thing. But online obviously helps a lot because you get to meet people that are really into that specific genre of your book.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, if you're doing a niche thing, we are in a way our
it's like Superbud.
Yeah, it's not gonna appeal to the broadest audience, right? There's a niche audience there. So for us, it seems to work where we can kind of hit that through online. But we've never really gone to California or done something on the West Coast. I've always thought about that. I think our book would play well on the West Coast as well. So that's
As a West Coast guy, I'm in California right now. I think it'll do well.
I think it'd do really
awesome.
well out there. Yeah.
That's
I'm not
something
out
to
there.
keep
I've
in
never
mind.
been out there either, but I can tell you from what I've seen on TV, it'll do amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sam, what do you think, man? What's your thoughts?
Um, I don't see why not. I would think that if it was going to blow up, it would blow up faster online, but that doesn't mean it can't blow up locally in your city, in your Tri-City area. Especially if the hero is, like, say you're from a small town and that hero is from that town, right? Then yeah, if I made a comic book about a hero from La Habra, people from La Habra might really be into it, and people from the surrounding cities who maybe went to school or used to live in or were sweet on a girl from La Habra, they might be like, "Oh, La Habra, yeah, I'm familiar with this."
Yeah.
It might blow up that way.
I think it works like with bands, right? Like bands can be really popular regionally because there's something that connects them there. It's like, oh, well, that artist is here, that writer is here, that story is kind of based where I'm at, and then eventually they can blow up. If other people see it
Well,
and
I
hear it,
also
it
think
can cross over.
locally, you can make good connections with your local shops. Like I have Friday, I went to a shop in Raleigh that I never knew existed because it was like downtown Raleigh in front of like NC State, and I just really didn't like going to that because the roads are small. But I went there Friday, and the shop's been around since the '80s. I like talked to the owner. We exchanged like emails. He was like, "Yeah, uh, w-
I
when you
love
get
shops like
your book
that.
printed, bring a few copies. We'll sell it."
Yeah.
Awesome.
I had a pretty well known individual say, "Hey, we might have a spot for your book on our shelves," and it's a pretty well known comic book shop. So hopefully, I sent them a box. So you say, "Hey, send us a couple books." I'm like, "I'm gonna send you like free stuff just to say thank
Yeah.
you." So here's a bunch of free stuff and some books. So have fun with that. Use them however you want. I told him, I was like, you can keep them. You can pass them out with the staff. You can put them on the shelf, or you can use them for currency during the apocalypse. Doesn't matter. It's up to you. But yeah, so I hope to find out that book gets on the shelf of that particular shop.
Well, that's a great tactic too, because if you can get it in the hands of somebody who works at a comic shop and they like it, then they can be
Yeah.
your biggest supporter and kind of
Yeah.
evangelize to their
Exactly.
audience that's coming in.
Well, which kind of brings me to kind of this other idea that I've been having is like doing, what street teams were for bands, right? It's like telling
Yeah.
people, hey, get people to come to the shows, pass out flyers, help promote things, get the word spread out. So I'm starting this thing. It's a comic book like street team for my hybrid universe, and so anyone that's a part of that and help spread the word and get new mailing list people, I've got special things. I'm doing a whole series of special gifts that they will get for free for being a part of that. So when they do a pledge, or if they say, I might just send them something. I've got most of their addresses that would help, with that. I'm just going to send them stuff, free stuff for helping spread the word, doing special ash cans, stories that only they get, and things like that, because so I've been having this idea and working that because I think the grassroots thing is important, especially for indie books. I do anyway.
Yeah, definitely. That's an awesome idea to take the street team mentality and see what it does for comics. Excited to see what it does for you.
Yeah. And so Matt says, I ask because I'd like to see us all build locally. That's how That's how we best build relationships. But how to get people buying locally? That's a really good question. How to do that? And I think really it's spent a lot of time in the stores and in the shops. If you have a relationship there,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my local comic book shop, the one that I have a pull list at, I haven't been to in months because I'm so busy creating. I'm so busy writing, drawing, and all that kind of stuff. Like I look up and I'm like, it's been a month. I'm in the cave, I'm in the den of creativity, and it's
I think
crazy.
the smaller conventions too is another one. Like Wizard World Philly was a good one for us. We got a lot of people who were from the Philly area that came out and we're like, oh, this is amazing. Like you're local, and they wanted to support us all the more because they kind of feel like we're their team,
Yeah, that one also worked out too because we had people that bought issue 1 from us at a con like a couple years earlier, and we're like, okay, we'll get the second issue, we'll get caught up, that kind of thing too. So you have like your return customer, which is great.
Bob says he really likes reading The Machine Man. It's written and drawn by Jack Kirby, which Jack is a great writer too. People just do not give. I don't think enough people realize how great he was at telling stories. He says, "Feel like a kid again," and that's how I feel when I'm reading Hybrids. Thanks, Bob. I appreciate that. And that's, I think, the point of comics, is to kind of, it's that escapism from the real world, and it makes you feel excited and young again, and those kind of things. So yeah, I love that comics can do that for us. Let's go. Mrs. H says, I've bought 2 issues of some comics from an indie publisher on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. The second copies I'll give to my local shop. Maybe more fans can do that. That's not a bad idea at all.
Cool. Yeah.
That is actually a really great idea. And maybe we can start doing something where we do like a street team perk, right? Where you get 2 copies of the book, and 1 copy goes to your local shop, to be given to the, to somebody.
It's a great gesture too.
Yeah, it really is. Thanks, Mrs. H, for that. I like that idea. I think this panel here could probably take that somewhere. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. Jennifer Lutter says, if you don't talk to them, you will never know. And that's right. I think that point is, you kind of get in there and build those relationships. But I want to go back to Bob's statement about it makes him feel like a kid again. And here's what I think. I think that this campaign, it looks fun, and I think it's one of those that's going to make you feel like a kid, or at least like a college kid.
Yeah, there you go.
It's going to make you feel like that, like that teenager, that 20-something college guy. The art is fantastic. I'm going to go. Let me play your video one more time for the people that are here now that weren't here earlier. It's short. It's not real long, so don't feel like it's not going to. We're going to watch about 45 seconds of this.
Previously on Superbud. Danny, a heartbroken college dropout, decides to smoke his troubles away one weekend. Little does he know, the weed he buys is actually an experimental strain of marijuana that was smuggled out of a lab by a small-time drug dealer who has been selling it to everyone in Emerald Oaks, giving them all superpowers. Will Danny and his friends become the heroes their town needs, or will it be destroyed by the effects of Superbud?
That's so silly, guys. I love it.
Thank you.
So you are sitting at $4,500. You've got 58 backers and 15 days left to go. You had a goal of $2,200. You have blasted through your goal. You're set. This is happening. Now all we need to do is move forward. Do you have any stretch goals that you have planned for this?
Yeah. So we hit our first stretch goal, which was we're going to do a digital bundle of some of our favorite indie comics. So we're really excited about that. And then the next one is we're going to give out some stickers. And then after that, we've got a, I don't know what to call it. We're thinking about like a director's cut, but basically we're going to do a podcast and talk about like page through page with the artist, Tim Laddie. And kind of go through like the origins of the story for it, the inspirations for the ideas, and his layouts, and kind of talk through. So we're really excited about that.
I love his art style. It really just it's fun to look at.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, he's the best. Super great guy. Really great to work with. We love working with him. He's doing a bunch of stuff for IDW now, so we got to squeeze our Superbud in when we can. We're hitting him up, and we're like, okay, there's gonna be time. 3 months from now, we're gonna book us now. Put us on the calendar when you got the time. We're gonna jump in. He's doing a book with or not a book, but a webtoons with Chuck Dixon as well.
Okay.
So he's a busy man, but we try to work with him to see when he's free to hit us up with some Superbud.
That's awesome, man.
He has his own creator-owned comic as well called Night Stars that he's doing an indie. He's doing an Indiegogo that might still be live. I think.
It is. Yep, still live.
Have him get a hold of Dutton. We'll have him on.
Check out.
Yeah.
We'll
have him get a hold of Dutton. We'll have him on. It's cool. It's cool art. I like it. So you can get in with this digital copy of Superbud issue number 1 for $5. You can get digital digital copy of Superbud issues 1 through 3 for $10. Heck, that's great. You can get one issue for $5, and 3 for 10. It's like buy 2 get 1 free.
Exactly.
That's right.
That's nice.
Yeah. I had a question about Superbud. Is there is it like a planned just ongoing, or is there a plan for 5 issues, 10 issues, 12 issues, 20 issues?
Yeah,
We
great
have
question.
an ending. There's
Yeah.
a it's meant to be a limited series. We always imagined it to have an ending. We never wanted it to be ongoing. But we have kind of like restructured the story since we started because it's taken so long to even go through 3 issues.
Yeah.
So the first 5 issues will give you a solid story, something that you can like feel good about. And then beyond that, Tim, what were we saying?
I would say we'll see how we can do with 5 issues. Our goal is to get to 5 issues, and then after that, I think we have 2 volumes planned. If we can make those happen, that's the dream. But we're just gonna focus on getting these first 5 issues out.
After that, you said 2 volumes, like 2 additional volumes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so almost like a trilogy. There'll be volume 2 and volume 3. Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
So 15 issues altogether.
Fun. All right, for $20, you can get the hard copy. So you get digitals 1 through 3, and then you also get just the print copy of issue 3?
Yes.
Okay. And then you can get print copies of 1 through 3 for $30. So $10 a piece, basically.
So this is the writer in me. So maybe you've already thought of this being writers yourselves, but if not, feel free to run with it. But when I think about the idea of everybody in this series in this town getting superpowers from smoking weed, my mind immediately goes towards the idea of surprising people with who has powers by like being like, oh, that person smokes weed, right?
Absolutely.
They have superpowers, right? Is that something like you've done?
Yeah, that's been a big
Yeah.
driving force for us from the inception of the idea. That was like a real big.
Why's
big
grandma
thing
got laser vision?
Right, exactly.
It's for my glaucoma.
for us. Yeah, so there's an older character in there named Walter who's a medical patient, and his nurse decides to get him this for him. So yeah, we play with some of the stereotypes of who you might think are the stoners and who you would be surprised by. That's always been fun for us
Nice.
since the inception of it.
Well, where I grew up, I'm not surprised by any of that.
This is
Okay.
the other thing that always happens too, which what I really love is something about the concept really gets other people to think about it. And every time we've done a podcast or just hanging out with friends, everybody always pitches ideas, and they're like, "Have you thought about this?" I think I love it. It's just like
Yeah.
it's that kind of idea that gets people thinking.
Yeah, it's a thought-provoking premise. It's exciting.
Well, to be fair, Luke, where you live at, it's Florida. Y'all have
No,
meth
that's not.
gators.
But that's not where I grew up. We do have meth gators here, but not where I grew up. Where I grew up was in Indiana, and Tom Petty sings about them Indiana girls on them Indiana nights.
R.I.P.
So yeah, there is more than corn in Indiana, and it's called weed. It's just the truth. So which one of these is the variant covers? It's the
Yeah,
That's
10.
one of them, and then the one below that is also a variant.
Okay. So for $50, which variant cover do I get? I get
Either
this
one,
variant
your
cover.
choice.
Oh, your choice.
Nice.
Okay. So for 50. Oh, so there's 2 different $50. The Laddie and then the Schwartz one. It's not Schwartz. Swats. Swartz. I'm saying that wrong. I swear I have not been smoking weed. For $75, you get 5 print copies. So,
each.
so 15 books for $75. So that's like the retailer bundle. You know what I don't like about the retailer bundles on Kickstarter is that anyone can get them.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be like, hey, I like to do Indiegogo because you get a secret perk, and I send that
why
secret
is
perk to
that?
retailers.
Why is that a problem? Fill me in, educate me.
Why is it a problem? Because I'm giving a extreme discount for retailers. I sell my books at 40% off, 40% of the cover price, not off, but of the cover price. To typically that's my price for retailers, and so if I have a retailer say somebody buy that retail bundle and they're not a retailer, they just got 15 copies or like 10 copies of my book to give away to their friends for like nothing, or they're going to sell them themselves and make, it's for the retailer. It's so that we can help the brick and mortar. If they're in sticks and bricks, we need to help them out.
And that was the idea behind doing that for us. We love the local shops that we go to, and we wanted to throw something out there.
Yeah.
Hopefully support them, because I think this is the way to go for indie comics, is to do Kickstarters and Indiegogos and things like that. But you don't want to leave your brick and mortar stores behind. So try to navigate that field and figure something out so we can still support them. So that's why we threw that on there.
The Green Flower Edition. What's that? What's this Green Flower Edition?
So if you scroll up a little bit, you'll see actually an image from it. But that's actually meant to be, as you've noticed, we do a lot of parody right there.
Yeah.
So this was meant to be a parody on the Sin City That Yellow Bastard, where we took our issue 1 comic and we redid it to be grayscale, where anything that is Superbud affected or Danny in his green hoodie is Superbud green, whereas everything else will be black and white.
Very good, very good. Okay.
I like it.
That's
cool.
Thank
so
you.
that's worth that's worth $100 to get all that kind of stuff. $250 you get a sketch cover bundle. So who's doing the sketch cover?
That would be a Tim Lottie one.
Tim's going to do the sketch cover. It's not going to be like Mike. Mike's not going to do it.
No, that one's way more. Way more.
That's way more. And $350 tier.
Little brother turns into the big horned monster guy, but the other guy, Danny, is the guy with the green sweatshirt, right?
Yep.
What is his power set?
He gets the ability to fly, and basically, when you start the comic, there's kind of like, as you go through each issue, you're going to see more and more people popping up with powers. Danny is the first one you see with powers, and his is flight.
So, question, is the powers consistent no matter what you smoke, or do they change, like if I switch it up and it's like an indica or sativa, or it's in a gummy or a brownie now?
You get more powers by smoking more.
So the way that we look at it is there really is only one strain that has gotten leaked.
Gotcha.
So whether that is a hybrid, a sativa, or an indica, it's only this one strain that makes it out that everyone's smoking in the town. But that doesn't mean that the pharmaceutical company isn't working on other strains that may also get in the hands of other people. Right. And so it's the powers and what you develop is more based on the individual and the exposure to it. So like you see, the little brother who eats an entire batch of brownies has a much stronger reaction than Danny does from just smoking a bunch.
Right.
Yeah, so the intensity, and then how long too. So there's some characters that have been like the main pot dealer who's had it in his hands for a while has been smoking it regularly, so he's going to have a different effect as well.
Right.
And this is why I encourage people to smoke wax. So much potency.
Yeah. You'll instantly turn into a big giant monster.
This looks like a super fun book, and then you've got a tier for $350 where you guys teach class, concept to creation.
So one of the things that we did, and actually we started doing this back even before we were doing comics, we would go and sometimes teach indie filmmaking workshops. So then when we did comics, we actually did a couple of panels where we would kind of like talk about how you could get off the couch and start working on a comic book. And so we decided to offer that as a class to hopefully help people who are interested in making a comic avoid all the pitfalls that we hit along the way and hopefully save them a lot of money.
Sweet. Good deal.
Yeah, we're far from experts, but we've made enough mistakes that we can at least steer people away from making the same mistakes we did.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, well, man, this looks really cool. So far, super successful. 58 backers. Let me refresh that and see if anybody has jumped on. Nope, still 58 backers. Hopefully you'll be able to run that up a little bit more here over the next 15 days. It looks like a fun, entertaining comic book, especially if you like kind of those like Seth Rogen, Pineapple Express kind of, Dude, Where's My Car kind of movies. This seems
Definitely.
like it's like right up that alley.
Yep, definitely.
So that seems like a lot of fun. So guys, I want to thank you guys for being here tonight and being a part of the Take a Break show.
Oh, I want to thank you, man. This is awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you
having
for
us
having
on. So nice meeting everybody too. This is really cool.
Yeah, it's always fun. Feel free to come back anytime. Just get with Justin. For anybody that's out there, don't forget to hit like and subscribe with the YouTube. If you're watching through Facebook, I do encourage you to go over to our YouTube channel and to check that out. Like, subscribe, hit that bell, send a comment. Share it out. Let people know about what's going on over here. And we'd like to have a lot of fun. And kind of hang out. And if you are out there and you want to be on the show, you need to get a hold of Justin Dutton. He is the one that will be able to get you on the show. He's the one that handles all of the scheduling. Now, I don't know if you guys got a comic book and you're making more comic books. If you guys are making a comic book out there and you're looking to get it distributed, I want to here. Let me just show you one of my songs. That's Liberty Distribution, and if you are an independent comic creator, you do independent comics, alternative comics, or underground comics, all of those kind of fun things, and you are looking to get your book distributed into retail stores, brick and mortar, or into other alternative methods. And if you are a brick and mortar store that wants amazingly awesome independent comics, you need to go over to ledg.us. That's ledg.us and sign up for that. They'll get you hooked up in this thing called I think it's called the Declaration. And it's you get in there and you can order books. Arrow Comics is exclusively through there. So, I got to do a little housekeeping. Arrow Comics, that's important. But you want to check them out and do that. Guys, I don't know if you've got anywhere to distribute your books yet or not, but get a hold of Liberty over there. Varian will be able to take care of you. They do, for retailers, they do offer a buyback thing. So not all publishers have to do this, but some publishers like Arrow are a part of the buyback program. So let's say you buy a book or you buy a number of books and put it on yourself and it's just not moving. Liberty can buy those back from you and that way you're not stuck with because let's be honest, sometimes things will move in one store and not another store, right? And so the distributor wants those books back so that, I personally, if my books aren't selling in store A but they're selling in store B, I'd rather move those books from store A over to store B so that I can get those things sold. And so I definitely encourage you to check that out. And also from IndieVolt, if you go over to if you use Gemini mailers, go over to Gemini and when you order your mailers, use the code VOLT10 and you'll save 10% on your order of Gemini mailers. That
Nice.
is always good. So yeah, remember VOLT10.
I'm writing that down right now.
Yeah.
We got some Geminis that need to go out soon.
Yeah.
Look at my buddy Luke with all the hookups. And,
I do,
and
man.
codes.
I'm here to help out the indie community and the indie comics industry with all this information. So get out there, get your book distributed by Liberty. Get your mailers through with the IndieVolt with the Volt 10 code and all of that good stuff. I can't think of what else is there out there.
You know what else is out there?
What's out there?
People can buy a Trash Man bus.
They
what's out there.
They can buy the Trash Man
I'm
bus.
a trash man. I come out, I throw trash all over the ring.
We were taking
Not
orders.
that Trash Man though.
Yeah, we were taking orders for the Trash Man bust. We're doing.
Show 'em.
Yeah, we
Do
are.
the thing, Luke. Show them.
Do the thing. So
Nice.
this is the model, right? So I'm doing a couple of them painted in traditional colors, but most of them are going to be done in a bronze, an antique bronze. And so I've got a 3 1/4 inch bronze one, and those are running $20. I think we're going to try to color those for $25 or something like that. But then I've got the 6 1/2 inch bronze for $50. So we're going to be doing that. We're also going to make that a part of the new of the new campaign, and we're fulfillment on hybrids. The Killing Field Part 2 has started already, so within the next 3 weeks, everyone will get their books and their action figures that we're doing. And then we will also be, we've also started the sign up for the Killing Field Part 3, and I just started drawing the Killing Field Part 4 today. And you know what? I think I'm just going to give everybody a little peek. I think I'm going to give people some peek at some artwork.
Sneak peek.
And
Put my monocle on real quick so I can inspect this.
Yeah, let me make sure I get my stuff where I need it before I.
Whenever he shows it. What are you, hourly?
Well, I just wanted to make sure that I got it taken care of before I don't want to dox myself or anybody else.
Man, I live out in the sticks and I have guns. I don't care about.
I don't care. I don't really care about being doxed either. I'm like, dox me if you want to.
I think I have doxed myself like 5 times now. Nice.
Page 1 of the Killing
awesome.
Field Part 4.
Ooh,
Yes.
like that.
Well, you saw it here first, folks.
Yes. And I'm working on the cover for. That's not the cover. That's not the cover. I'm working on
New
the cover.
bust?
The whole statue. Yeah, we're doing the whole statue. So we're taking this bust and we're turning it into a whole statue, and then we're going to add in other characters as well. We're going to do bust and full statues of at least 4 other characters. And working on the cover for issue number, what number?
9.
I was drawing 9. This is for 8. This is for 8. Yeah, so this is cover for 8.
Looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to look a little sexy.
She has very big personality.
Personalities.
You guys are so silly. Yeah.
Luke's
Yeah.
trying to create some waifus over here.
No, this is Molly Rayner that you met earlier in the series, and this is her final form. So, yep. So that's what we're working
Body
on.
pillow it. Make a body pillow.
You know, people are always asking stuff like that. Yeah, but here, so I'm not showing the whole page anywhere. I'm not like posting it anywhere. It's just you get to see it here on this show. So,
Which is
and
the
I love
reason
that.
why people should like, subscribe, and tune in.
They should, yeah, because I will, throughout the process, I'll show you exclusive stuff that nobody else gets to see. You get to see it because we love you. Thank you for being a part of our show. And Sweet Trash Man bust looks great. It does look great. Thank you, man. I'm glad you like it. Glad people are enjoying that. And so it's pretty cool. 3D printed. I started getting that 3D print. Have you guys done that stuff yet?
No, I was actually going to ask you about that. We've been looking to try to get into
well-
figure making, but we've been coming up dry. It's either like way too out of our price range or just not working out. So if you guys have a figures guy, that would be pretty cool.
I do have a figures guy. His name is Damien. Let me look. His first name's Damien, and I'm really bad with names because I don't know. I'm just weird. He's on Facebook. His name is Damien Waldbrun. Waldbrun.
Just have your people contact their people, Luke.
Yeah, just message me on Facebook or Twitter. I'll get you in contact with him. He does
Sweet.
O Toys, and he does a good job with that. Also, so he does those. He does action figures that way. And I'm also experimenting with the guy that did the what's that? The 3D modeling for the bust. I'm also experimenting with him to do a 5-point articulated action figure. So it's a 4-point articulated action figure with Damien. But we're trying to work up a different process with that. So I'll keep you guys posted on how that works. But if you need something 3D modeled, for some, Roberto Bolano, I totally endorse that guy. He's been amazing. I've bought a lot of 3D models lately. I've had people try to do Trash Man, and they've all been bad except for Roberto. I mean, obviously, he really captured the whole Trash Man vibe, and it looks amazing. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks cool.
The other ones that I got, they just look like, I'm like, who is that? This guy looks more like Trash Man than what I got. You check that guy out, right? How does a
Almost looks
person
fake.
like his hands are they're like normal size hands. Like look at that again. Normal size hands, right? But his head is so far above his shoulders. Like it's so high up there.
Yeah, like if he didn't have muscles, he'd have like a giraffe neck.
He'd be so tall and lanky, yeah.
Yeah.
Like he almost needs those muscles.
You know
But
what though? He's got that like classic Thanos comic thickness though.
He does.
He does.
This is the guy we're going to get to play Trash Man in the live action.
Give him a wig.
Yeah, and you know what? His girlfriend could probably play Chlorine. I mean, look at her. She's the right height. Like, look at that. It's like everybody else is like this dude here next to these two. He's probably 6'3". Either that or he's 5'2".
That other guy.
What's that?
You say the regular guy, the guy on the right, is probably 6'3"?
Probably 6. Yeah, or maybe he's 5'10", or worse yet, maybe he's 5'2". And this guy is like 6'4".
Yeah. Maybe they're really short, and he's
Maybe they're all really short. But I one thing I know he cannot do is scratch his own back. Look at that guy. There is no way. There's
Man, his pecs are bigger than like most dudes' heads.
This dude would not fit on a plane.
We need your help to rob a bank, and if you don't do what we say, we've placed a bomb on your back.
I just
it
kind of
works,
want to
right?
get a piggyback ride from him, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, but it works. Look, I mean, okay, so there's fiction, there's reality. I mean,
you need to get him a toupee, but yeah, you can pull it off.
right? Yeah. So, yeah, we're doing that.
Maybe a beard as well.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you could grow a beard or you can glue one on someone's face. You know,
Yeah.
It all works. It all works. Jennifer Louders says we had to be on mega. He had to be on mega steroids, or he has a pituitary tumor. That's very possible. That is very, very possible. But yeah, so yeah, we are doing a little housekeeping. Please go by, check that out. I'm still live on Indiegogo, and so we're in demand, and so is Smokes McGee up there.
Yeah.
Old Dustin is also Smokes McGee.
Smoke
All
him
right,
if you got him.
We're gonna go around. I'm gonna make you big. Okay. When you get on the screen, just feel free to let everyone know where they can find you, and any last parting thoughts that you would like the world to know. And we are gonna start with you.
Oh, it's me. All right. So you can find us at superbudcomic.com or at superbudcomic on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And I am at TimRadWrites on Instagram.
Awesome.
I'm all things Mike Dean on Twitter, all things _ Mike Dean on Instagram, and yeah, Superbud is real. The truth is out there.
I'm Sam Wongi, and I'm the VP of Capsule Games. You can check out anything. Our first project is not yet unveiled, but if you want to check what the vibes are, you can go down to Capsule Art at IG, Instagram, or Capsule USA. Those are both of our pages. Or you can check me out at Capsule Sam on Twitter, as well as God's Black Friend. If you just want to talk about anything in general, whether it's video games, comics, religion, politics, God's Black Friend. But if you want to keep it video games, go to Capsule Sam. If you want to keep it comics, you can find me actually also on Twitter at Mighty Jump Comics. That's comics with an X, not a CS, because Twitter doesn't allow that number of characters. That was one. So it's comics.
It's not because it's adult.
No, not at all. No, that's not what I'm doing.
All
But
right.
yeah, anyway, and Tuesdays evenings, you can find me here, chilling, taking a break with Luke and Dutton, and our other various cool guests.
Yo, this makes me so happy. While we were doing the stream, I posted up a poll on Twitter. So far, 64 votes, and 57.8 says Marvel Comics will have more variants than COVID.
Well, I haven't voted yet. My vote's for COVID. I think COVID will have more variants. I don't know. I know. Honestly, I think it's probably going to be Marvel. No one can beat Marvel when it comes to variants.
All right. So you can find me here every Tuesday between 8 and 9 ish. You can find me on Twitter at Justin Dutton 18. You should go vote on the COVID and Marvel Comics Twitter poll because I find it funny. You can find me on Facebook, Justin Dutton. If you're a comic artist and you would like to come on the channel, just send me a message through either one. It's first come, first serve. And you should blaze up with your buddy with in back Superbud. Now back to you, Luke.
Back to me. I'm Luke Stone. You can find me at lukestonestudios.com. That's Luke Stone Studios, plural, with a 2. lukestonestudios.com. All of my social media links are over there, so you can find everything that you need. My Twitter, my Instagram, and all that fun stuff. And there's some Easter eggs on that site, some photography and some music and things like that you can enjoy as well. I have links to all the pertinent things up there. I think I have it updated. If I haven't, it updates. I try to update it regularly. And I have a fun store over there where you can get all kinds of neat stuff. You can get merchandise. You can even get the STL files to print that Trashman bust yourself. So go ahead over there to lukestonestudios.com and check that out. And be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, ding that bell, so that you can get notified when we go live. And I post all kinds of stuff throughout the week and month of tutorial stuff and just weird stuff sometimes. So check that out. All right. That has been the show. We do thank you so much for being a part of tonight's broadcast. Please go check out the Superbud campaign, which I'm putting right now in the comments, and help them out and make sure that they get up to. Let's try to get them to 100 backers. I think 100 backers would be nice for them to have before this campaign comes to an end. They got 15 days left to go, and they've been wildly successful. And so help them get a little further. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Say bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks so much. See you guys.
Peace.
See ya.